What's up guys, this is Oakley and we're in an open field battle, 2 versus 2 here in Rome 2, and it is going to be myself in the distance as Swaby with my ally Rome, and Romans have decided to bunker up, and our opponents are going to be Tillis and the Nervii. So the opponents initially started with this hillside advantage, but that is not going to hold them back. They have a bit of a rush build, so they're going to be coming screeching down the hills towards us. The Roman fortified camp there in the distance is going to be under assault. We have some, looks to be Saki Equites, yep, and they're going to be pushing forward, but with this combined Celtic Slinger and Levy Freeman, very cheap. Oh my god, yeah, this is a bit of the meta, or well, I guess you'd have cheap medium tier swords, but this is a very nice fodder force to throw at the enemy. So Rome's getting tied up with the Saki Equites Extraordinary. They're going to get chewed up if they get too far. Meanwhile, I had tried to deploy in a broken up formation, but the enemy with their long lines of just cheap swords are totally just sprinting up the main divide. If we look down the hill, or down across the slopes, you can see the enemy from here all the way down to the end of the battlefield has a solid front, and I found this was kind of interesting. There's a wolf running around. But yeah, I am, as Swaby, I'm just constantly pulling away from this mass. I had a whole bunch of archers, slingers, Kimry bowwomen, and I was intending to harass the enemy on this side for a long time, but they just all out rushed me, and so I don't have much in the way of infantry. The enemy here has only a couple spears, the rest is going to be these fierce swords, so I cannot commit to this fight. I do have a couple units that I'm trying to kind of whittle away at the opponent's flank in the rush and force them back, so it did work. However, it's mostly him baiting out more shots for me. I do get some nice hits with the Kimry bowwomen, and now they're going to be pulling out. So I'm doing a little bit to hold the enemy back. But my ally is doing an interesting charge. I'm not quite sure what he's doing here. He's susceptible to getting rear charge, but he's at least going to try and break the opponent's front. And the cavalry over there is getting torn to little itty bits and pieces. So I have reformed here. Now I can face the opponents. They're going to redouble their efforts. And then the entire Tillis force is going to surround the Socate Equites. Rome, bunkered up on the hill, is not going to offer much support. And over here with this cluttered mass of troops that I have, I just don't have the right build or the right deployment to force the enemy back. This is getting very precarious for me. In terms of builds, I have all these skirmishers that you can see running about. I have a couple Bloodsworn Spear Brothers. My main core here is actually going to be 3 Berserkers and 2 Sword Masters. I do have 1 Round Shield Swordman on the right flank. He's just meant to tackle the Spear Brothers, hold something down on the right flank, and then just buy me a bit more time. I think I'm getting a bit of an advantage here as I draw the enemy out. I can land some easy cavalry strikes on these Fierce Swords. So what I wanted to do is pull the enemy cav over the left. That worked. And then my goal was to punch through the enemy lines. This is a bit of a gamble because the enemy gets off some volleys. But I wanted to split the enemy force and then run in with my Spear Brothers to get in on these Spear Brothers. However, as I try and disengage my Noble Riders, I take pretty heavy losses on both of them. I followed up with a Bloodsworn charge, but that was not a good trade. Spear Brothers will go around these troops, and then I'm left with nothing in the middle as the enemy just continues to sprint through my lines. So this is not going my way. I have some troops, Bloodsworns there, caught a bit out in the open. Spears do catch the enemy Mighty Horse, which is good. Look how many kills I'm getting. So that's going a bit in my direction. And then on this front, while the enemy was looking elsewhere, I charge in with 2 Berserker forces, full strength, so I get an easy charge on them. My Round Shield Swordsman broke Spear Brothers, so it's going pretty well. In the center, I have a lot of the archers that finally they can start shooting at the enemy, who's all clumped up. But the opponent brought a lot of cavalry, and so he's able to get around. He does pick off one of my Kimry bowwomen. Keep in mind that Kimry bowwomen can pop out spears, so they're not totally susceptible to cavalry charges. And then I have the supporting fire of more Kimry bowwomen, trying to even the odds. Another Berserker force going to be going to tie down this force. So overall, I think I'm doing okay on this front. Spears here with a lot of kills. And down through the front, looks like Rome decided to charge the enemy lines and engage in just an upfront assault. So going better than I was actually expecting on that side. It's all out chaos here, but the Swordmasters and my elite troops committed just at the right time. The enemy is pulling back, and so I'm going to be trying to do the same, but I think it's the overwhelming number of Mighty Horse that's going to be my my undoing. My Berserkers are doing well, but now we've hit a bit of a critical stage where everyone is kind of engaged, and it's the loose cav that's going to do you in. So I went after my Slingers, which is not the worst of units to lose. He does have Oathsworn General that I'm peppering with all my guys, charging in the back with the Berserkers. And if I can clip the enemy general, that will be to my advantage. But I really need to keep these Slingers alive to try and save my ally, who at the same time his main line has been destroyed. And on this flank, yes, it's going to be Triari and Armored Legionnaires in this mix, but with all these Slingers, Celtic Slingers, look how many Slingers that is coming back. Yep, you can see they're going to deploy behind the Triari and just shoot these guys up. So I would say it's pretty much over for us on this flank, or headed soon in that direction. On my side, it's a lot of these back and forth fights. I get some clean charges on the Scout Riders, but on the opposing side, the enemy Mighty Horse is getting in on my guys. I'm going to be firing point blank with my Kimbri. Thank goodness I still have them alive. But in the distance, look what's riding towards us. I believe those are... Oh yeah, that's not good. A little cluster of 3-4 horses charges into me. I'm able to keep them at bay. The other one is going to commit itself as well. And I do run out of there with one Germanic Scout Rider. My Spear Brothers are going to try and go on intercept duty. And they do get a couple volleys off. So there you go. Finally, I'm able to ward those guys away. The Oathsworn General here is getting attacked by both sides, but it's very light cav, so I'm not going to be able to hold out for long. Up through the center, my Berserkers have done work, so they've been able to clean up the enemy force. Swordmaster's doing well. Rome has even brought back some Vigiles on this side, so my heavy infantry definitely clobbered the medium infantry line, and I think I won this one out pretty handedly. However, a couple of my units are caught out in the open, kind of in the aftermath of being scattered, so I'm going to try and regroup my forces. These Germanic Scout Riders being pretty scary in how fast, nimble, and quick they are. That's a lot of words that mean the same thing. And they're going to get all the way up to my Kimbri Bowwoman. I was hoping to get a couple more volleys. It did kill maybe, I don't know, 20% of them right there. But now they're committed. Thankfully, they didn't have the weight to do too much damage to me. So now we can see some women with spears beat up these Germanic Scout Riders. Come on, should be pretty easy. Oh, especially with Spear Brothers. So, to the rescue. The Spear Brothers saving my ladies. And yeah, that was much easier. So I've won out on this flank. The general, although one of the last few remaining troops still in it, and I sacrificed my Spear Brothers to save the Kimbri Bowwomen. Over in the back, Swordmasters, Rounded Swordmen, Bloodsworn, Berserkers, and Berserkers with 133 and 59, so pretty good. My own Swordmaster in the back with 92 kills, and again he kind of snuck past my guys. I wasn't paying attention. I was mostly looking at the Oathsworn, so I decided to peel off one of these Kimbri Bowwomen. I'm trying to sacrifice it, but my ally gives a dual attack order, one to this one and then the other one to my other force, and actually gets a double charge off, which is pretty lucky to be able to pull that off. And that was so damaging. So I'm getting really sloppy here at the end, losing a lot to just this one stupid little Germanic Scout Rider. I have the general killed, the rest of his army is gone. And the more damage he can do to me, this just means that when we recommit against the enemy force, it's going to be very problematic. Swordmaster is fighting Oathsworn. We'll see who wins this out. We can actually get some close action shots. I think with the charge of the Berserkers on both sides, it's going to be no contest. Yep, we just demolished the enemy force. Berserkers are 73, and this is a pretty dangerous cluster right here. Look at all this. This is like 2-3 Berserkers and a Swordmaster. Pretty good stuff. And then finally the unit in the back routes with a couple more volleys from Kimbri Bowwomen. So this is all that's left for my side. Berserkers, Bloodsworn, Swordmasters, Berserkers, and Berserkers. And then we have 2 Kimry Bowmen, another Round Shield Swordman, Swordmasters, and Blood Swords. So, fair amount of infantry, and only 2 skirmishers. My ally did bring back some troops, and he's retreating with even more. 2 auxiliary Syrian archers is going to be important, something we have to bring back if we want to have at least a skirmishing advantage. However, Tillis came out on top here really, really well with all these Celtic slingers. They're not great troops, but in these numbers and healthy as they are, yeah, they took almost no damage. They're going to be able to whittle away at units like our Berserkers from a distance, so we really can't chase this away. The only advantage, I guess, or maybe not an advantage, but the only bonus is that there is no cavalry left on the field, which means I do have the ability to kind of chase after his guys and do a mass attack. What I was trying to tell my ally to do is turn around your auxiliary Syrian archers and shoot up this Oathsworn. This is a high value target. Turn around and shoot him right in the side. He's exhausted. Take him out before he can seek shelter. My ally was not having any of it. As you saw, he wasn't playing super effective, and so I don't know, he just wanted to come back, seek shelter, and reform. What I decided to do is start sending a couple of my units to the flank. I know how this is going to go down. My opponent has a long skirmisher line, and all my opponent's going to have to do is slowly scoot this up and just start shooting away at our main line. So the main way I have to combat that is to get guys on the flank so that as he pushes up, I can threaten the flank and force his mass of slingers to face different directions. And then once if he decides to face this way, I'll just pull out of range, pull in my guys from the center, and then just try and go for us around. But because of the numbers advantage that the opponent has, it's going to be really hard to get us around on them. Trying to get you some nice pans of the troops exhausted after they both destroyed their respective armies, and now we're going to be facing off. There is a bit of a victory I guess we could claim at this point. It is 2 versus 1, which means we killed one of our opponents entirely, Nervii. Although admittedly the Roman is essentially beat, and he didn't really leave, he didn't really do too much damage to this force. The main thing actually is, yeah, these skirmishers are bad, but it's these Oathsworn in healthy numbers. Like I said, had my ally been able to take out this 3rd Oathsworn, that would have been critical for us. The rest is really cheap. I mean, these small bands of tribal warriors could have gotten destroyed by my Berserkers, and then we could send these Vigiles to, tie down the Celtic slingers. It's this force here that I'm worried about. The enemy has skirmishing advantage and here a heavy hitting infantry force. And because the enemy has the skirmisher advantage, they are actually able to be the ones who sit here, and they're just going to be happy enough to kind of sit still, let the Oathsworn rest. You can see these guys coughing. I mean, covered in blood. I'm sure they got some blood down their throats, up in their noses. Yeah, you want to get that stuff out before you get back into combat. So they're going to be lumbering over here. And the face-off continues. I was trying to get my ally to roll up with some of his auxiliary Syrian archers and try and do some sort of combined fire against these few remaining Celtic slingers. So I told him, go ahead and start to target those guys. The slingers are kind of split up, so here we go. We're going to try and focus fire on the same unit. And we'll see how this goes. I pulled my Kimberly bowwomen out of range because I figured the Syrian archers are more equipped to deal with the shots of the slingers. So I was going to let my ally kind of absorb the fire first and then come in. However, what the opponent is doing is he's pulling his guys back slightly. The attack order being given by my ally is, I don't know, he should tell his units to stop. They're just going to keep getting closer and closer. And here come the reinforcements. Let's see how the exchange goes, though. So our guys, I believe, have popped quick reload. Oh my god, that did so much damage. We're going to be replying in kind, but that only took one guy. Oh my god, why are you firing? Why are you firing fire arrows? And he's clustered 2 units, one next to each other. This is not going to be good. If you take a look on the right, I think those slingers are about to start firing. Yep. So this is not good. They got all of their guys, mostly all of their guys, focus firing on us. And so I realized, okay, we've lost the skirmisher advantage. I tell my ally, you know, charge everything into this mix. And it did kind of work. So my Bloodsword and Radsteel Swordsmen are going to be getting into this first. These are my cheapest, weakest troops. I'm setting Swordmasters who are kind of depleted to screen the front. Berserkers have to be kept safe. And then over here, I'm just trying to peel off to the side. Roundshield Swordmen are going to try and attack this Oathsworn wall as it deploys down the center. This is not going to be going well for us. But I just need to tie something down to maybe get through the center. My Swordmaster is taking so much damage. And against the Tribal Warriors, I don't think we'll even win. General's Bodyguard is going to get some of those units, but with the reinforcements in the back, it's not going to go well. Swordmaster General is here to try and give some morale support. Didn't want to engage him just yet. I wanted to wait to tie the enemy up with my Berserkers. Get some volleys off into these Oathsworn, and then I'm going to charge. Into the center, I've thrown my Berserkers as well. So this is going to be pretty good. I think my Swordmaster's got a clean charge. And with 2 Berserkers in the mix here, I'm going to be able to do a lot of damage to these tired Oathsworn. In the center, the Swordmaster Berserker charge is doing well. My allies general is going to go down. But look at all the chaos we've caused. We were able to close the distance and negate the skirmishing advantage. And so with the Swordmasters and Berserkers in close proximity, I think the fight goes to us. I'm popping all my abilities here. Look at how much stuff I've popped right there. Battle Rhythm being popped. I'm gonna have to save Second Wind, and it's paying off. I mean, look at the stats on my guys, doing really good. And then the other Berserker force was freed up. He's gonna be going after the Oathsworn. They do pop a rally. And so now I'm the only one left. My ally has been destroyed, but 219 kills on the Swordmasters, doing really, really well. So at this point, I'm kind of losing on the extremities. Rome has been killed. The Slingers are going to reform with the Tribal Warriors. And so what that means is this is all that's left from my side. This is going to be very, very dangerous. The Berserkers did kill off one force. However, my Swordmaster General here cannot lose. If he goes down, I'm going to have a chain route on my hand. Likewise, however, my opponent's Oathsworn is pretty susceptible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge in with these other Berserkers, and it's going to be a race to see who can wipe out the General. I pop Shield Wall ability just to boost some my stats and defense. You can see here, yep, it rallied my guys, and now I have Berserkers in the back. However, they're being very, very finicky. Now finally they commit to the fight. We'll see if they can stabilize this. The enemy numbers are starting to drop as they're charged in the back. My Swordmaster's holding steady at 58, so I think this is to our advantage. Finally, over in the back, ooh, we routed one of the enemy forces, Berserkers, down to 2 men with 200 kills to this unit. With the last couple guys, this is all that's holding back this storm. And then the Slingers firing indiscriminately into the mix. That's not good at all. Just as I'm finally cleaning up these Oathsworn. So this is that Oathsworn unit that I told you, had my ally shot it up earlier, I could have cleaned that force up much, much sooner. And now I'm charged with the remainder of these Tribal Warriors and depleted Oathsworn. I kind of have an advantage here. I mean, the Berserkers, 237 kills, still steady, still strong. And look at the Levy Freeman, a lot of fodder units here. If I can get these guys to rout, then we may have a chain rout on our hands. The Slinger's not having the best firing arc, and boom, there goes another force that's routed. So we're doing pretty good. The third force is going to start to rout, so things are actually turning back around in my favor. Boom, there you go, 2, and only 2 forces remaining. The third one is going down, these Tribal Warriors. These Slingers look like they're out of ammo, and so they're going to charge right into the mix, and that is going to be actually kind of punishing. Overwhelming numbers just to throw bodies at my men, slow down the rout. And with the remainder of these Celtic Slingers, they're going to try and get back in on the fight, and it looks like those overwhelming numbers were enough to swamp my Swordmaster General, who's at 166 kills, popping Shield Wall, but his numbers and his morale is dropping quickly. Berserkers here, 261, and I have actually stabilized. I think I can rout these Celtic Slingers, who are going down pretty quick, but this is going to be super close. More Slingers being thrown in the mix. It looks like they're out of ammo, so it's going to be a fight down to the last couple men. I pop Battle Rhythm. Tribal Warriors here are going to be going down 13. Oh, come on. Please break. Ooh, and just at that moment, the Celtic Slingers come in, and that is going to start to have an overwhelming effect on my morale. I pop Headhunt battle rhythm, shield wall, everything to boost my attack stats and everything. I'm down to 28 men on that guy. Can I hold out? Oh, and I shattered. And with that, it's not going to be looking good. But look, chain route happening right here on the Celtic Slingers. Another one breaks. There's the Oathsworn General is about to go down. But I'm left with 12 Berserkers left. They're in Berserk mode. They're at 298. Can they get to 300 kills? They're the last. 300 kills on the final Berserker force. 10 men left fighting out against the remainder of the enemy force. This is what it comes down to from 4 different armies. Berserkers duking it out. In Berserk mode, they're not going to rout. They're going to fight to the last man. 1 guy left. What's the final count? 306 kills on them. And finally, the enemy cheers. But you can see how slim the margin for victory was. Had my ally played a little better, had he turned around those archers and taken out those Oathsworn, I think this could very well have been a different battle. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed. Berserkers are always fun to field. They just go to town on armies, and they fight to the last man, giving us a good showing. Let's end the replay and take a look at some of the stats here. So, I almost got MVP. The enemy Legio guy got more kills, but that was mostly against the Roman player who just did pretty bad. 851. Well, Sergeant Scone also doing pretty bad with only 852 kills. So I guess both forces here scoring very similar kills. So yeah, as you saw, a really close match. My top tier units got a lot of kills. Even Bloodsworn, 202, 129. That's not something you see every day. 126. So overall, these units super cost effective. My Kimberly Bowwomen, 131, 140, very good. Germanic Slingers were mostly throwaways. They're the ones who got caught by the cav. And I guess my cavalry just underperformed. So and you saw there were a couple micro lapses in there. I think had I been able to catch those, maybe if I'd swapped out 2 Germanic Slingers for 1 more cavalry force, I could have better safeguarded my Kimberly Bowwomen and gotten out of that fight with some cavalry left, which would have been critical in that final engagement. Trippy here, not doing too well. What got the most number of kills? I mean, it's sad when you see Vigiles get as many or more kills than a Triari. He only brought 2 Armored Legionnaires, so very odd build for him. Sergeant Scone here, a lot of Oathsworn and Fierce Swords. And then this build here from Legio, a lot of raiding horsemen. I really like these skirmishers. They're super powerful. You can see he didn't bring any shot cav, which is something Rome probably could have taken advantage of. Just held the flanks with heavy hitting troops and then just punched through the flanks, and with his heavy cav, these guys would have skittered out of the way, and then he could have done a lot of hammer and anvils against this wall. But there were a lot of Levy Freemen as well, so I don't know. It was an interesting duel. But in any case, hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.